doesn't sound like a good going. Okay, that's better. All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome one more time. Welcome Venerable Pasadika. It's very nice to see him here one more time. Very grateful that he comes down to talk to us from time to time. So Venerable Pasadika is the spiritual advisor to the Dhamsuwa Meditation group, who are based in Clonburnane, which is just a little north of Melbourne. So it's always a trip for him to come down, and it takes a bit of organising, but we're very grateful that he does take the time to come down. So we'll just commence in the usual way, and I will pass across to Sabati to formally request the refuges and the precepts. Thank you.
Mayam Bhante, Tisarnena saha pancha silani yachama, Dutiyampi Mayam Bhante, Tisarnena saha pancha silani yachama, Tatiyampi Mayam Bhante, Tisarnena saha pancha silani yachama.
Yamahang vadami tang vadeta, Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhang saranang gacchami, Dhammang saranang gacchami, Sanghang saranang gacchami, Dutiyampi Buddhang saranang gacchami, Dutiyampi Dhammang saranang gacchami, Dutiyampi Sanghang saranang gacchami, Tatiyampi Buddhang saranang gacchami, Tatiyampi Dhammang saranang gacchami, Tatiyampi Sanghang saranang gacchami, Saranaagamanang sampunnang, Panatipata Veramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyami, Adinna Dana Veramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyami, Kame Sumichachara Veramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyami, Musavada Veramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyami, Suramere Majjapama Dattana Veramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyami, Tisranena Saddhing Panchasilang Dhammang Sadhukang Surakitang Katva Pamadena Sampadetha. Itipiso bhagava arahang samma sambuddho vijjācarana sampanno sugato lokavidu anuttaro purisa dhamma sarati satta deva manussanang bhagavati swakhato bhagavata dhammo sanditthiko akaliko ehi passiko opanaiko pacchattang veditabbo viññohiti supatipanno bhagavato savaka sangho jupatipanno bhagavato savaka sangho Nyāya patipanno bhagavato savaka sangho Sāmīci patipanno bhagavato savaka sangho Yadidang chattari purisa yugani atta purisa puggala esa bhagavato savaka sango Ahuneyo pahuneyo dakhineyo anjali karaneyo anuttaram punyakhettang lokassati karaniya matta kusalena yantang santang padang abhisamicca Ujuca sujuca suvaco chassa mudu anatimani santussa koca subharoca appakiccoca sallauka utti santindriyoca nipakoca appagabbo kulesu ananugidho Naca kuddang samacare kinciyena viñño pare upavadeyung sukino va kemino hontu sabbe satta bhavantu sukitatta ye kecipana bhutatti tasava tavarava anavasesa digava ye mahantava majjimaras kanukatula Dittava eva ditta yecha dure vasanti avidure Bhutava sambhave siva sabbe satta bhavantu sukhitanta Naparo parannikumbeta jnati manyeta katta chinang kanchi Bhyarosana patigha sanya nanya manyasya dukkha michaya Mata yata niyam puttang ayusa eka putta manurakhe Evampi sabba bhutesu mana sambhavaye aparimanang Mettancha sabba lokasming mana sambhavaye aparimanang Uddhang adocha tiriyancha asambadang averang Tittan charan nisinno va sayano va yavatassa vigatamindo Etang sating aditteya brahma metang viharang idamahu Dittincha anupagamma silavadassanena sampanno Kamesu vineya gedang nahi jatu gabhaseyang punareti Etena sacchavanjena sottite hotu sabbada Etena sacchavanjena sottite hotu sabbada Etena sacchavanjena sottite hotu sabbada Sadhu, sadhu Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa Dear all, welcome you all to today's discussion. In every discussion we discuss about different Dhamma matters in this session. And usually I would select a sutta and explain the sutta in my discussions and most of the previous discussions. But today I was thinking to explain you about a specific concept explained by Buddha by taking different citations from different suttas, not specifically one sutta. So in the Buddhist teaching system, we recognize the value that we have given to the self. This concept is very important for us to understand, especially for meditators, because we try to focus on the selflessness, anatta, the condition of anatta. So people there's a simple question asked from the general ordinary society, lay community, like if there's no self, according to Buddhist teaching system, if everything is impermanent, if everything is leads to suffering, if nothing is like you, if there's no self, then who exists? Then we don't have to worry about good and bad because there's no self. Everything is selfless. But actually, selflessness do not mean that you're not responsible for your actions. That's a bit different concept. The concept was widely misunderstood. Unfortunately, because of maybe the way that it has been translated. Anatta, the word atta or anatta, do not clearly recognize non-existence of an individual, because Buddhism do not say that there's no individual, and at the same time, Buddhism do not talks about there is a self. So it's in between. This question was asked from Lord Buddha by Venerable Kaccayana in Kaccayana Sutta. He asked that, so what is your explanation? Do you believe or do you recognize the self, or you do not? And Buddha said, Sabbang atitiko bhikkhave ekavanto, sabbang natitiko bhikkhave ekavanto, tathagato ubhavanta anupagama majjhana dhammante. That's a Pali citation from the sutta. So Buddha said that if someone say everything exists, the existence is permanent, existence is there, then Buddhism do not support that ideology as well. And if someone said, no, nothing exists at all, everything is empty, there's nothing in the world, no humans, no trees, all these things are elements, we do not also agree to that. Because if we say that, the karma theory will be abolished, because we can't hold someone responsible for the action. There is. So Buddha say, if someone says there's nothing in the world, also we do not disagree with that. If everything exists in the world forever, we also disagree. So the explanation then, he asked, so what is your explanation? Then he said, Majjhana dhammante sete, which means I'm talking about middle path. That doesn't mean the middle path like the Noble Eightfold Path. It means that cause and effect. It very, very clearly mentioned that if there's a cause, there's an effect. If there's an effect, which means there has to be a cause. So the cause and effect theory has explained that Buddhism talks about that we cannot frame each and everything that we experience into this ideology of self. But we are responsible for each and everything that we do. That's where the karma comes in. So when the karma theory is there, it talks about that each and everything that you do right now, every single second, develop a specific type of mental factors. Those mental factors creates karma. So it can integrate with the actions, can integrate with the words. So if there's intentional, if the mind is involved, karma is there. So that means there is an individual existence, but not with the ideology of self. Which means that we recognize this particular self, or body, or mind, or existence as a self. That is okay, just in an ordinary way for us to understand. That's all right. But if you try to go deeper, even though we accumulate meritorious deeds, reborn in a different realm, and decide to continue the journey of samsara, the ideology of self explained that we are not in control of all these things. If you perform an activity, sometimes even when you perform something, you're not even in control of that performance. Sometimes it has been taken over by anger, by attachment, by delusion, by different mental factors, maybe by different weave, ditti. So then our control is not in our self. We are not actually in charge of this particular system that we maintain. But at the same time, even though this is the deep down understanding about the self, Buddha have given a much higher value to self, like self-confidence. So there's a huge controversy there. People ask this question all the time. So how come if there's no self, that you talk about self-confidence? Because there is no self mean that you're not in control, you're not in charge. That's the point. That doesn't mean that there's no existence. Yes, we exist as human beings. If someone say that I do not exist as a human being right now, that's like not the truth. That'll be delusion. Each and every one of us exists, yes. Only thing that we are not in control of this existence. So then Buddha said that there's a sutta called Setanaga Sutta in Samyutta Nikaya. It's a very good, there's a lot of citations there for us to recognize that Buddhism has given immense value to a practitioner. So this talks about the self-confidence, talks about how we should maintain and manage our life and how we can be happy about ourselves as well. Like there was a wonderful story. I will bring you back from this deep down analysis to a simple story. I'm pretty sure that this self-ideology was too hard and too complicated for some of us to understand. That's fine, because that's how we learn slowly. So there was a simple ideology about this idea of self, like how Buddha valued ourself, how Buddha valued the self of a practitioner, person of practice. When Buddha was residing at Savatthi, the Jetavana monastery, the popular monastery in Savatthi, he had a habit sometime. After lunch, he used to go to, there's a monastery called Purvarama, made by Vishaka. So then Buddha used to go there. There's a place like dedicated for the monks and Buddha and some of these monks who resided at Purvarama to take bath. They call it Pubokotika. They call like the Eastern bathroom or something like that, if you translate it directly. So this particular place, it's actually next to a river. So it's like a dedicated covered area where the river water flows into this particular spot of bath. And then monks used to go there and take a bath, and it was like a communal bath there. So Buddha used to go to these particular places. So many suttas recognize that he has like kind of a similar routine. After lunch, he would go to this Purvarama monastery, and after that he would go for a bath in the evening. So this particular day also, after the lunch, he decided to go to Purvarama, the other monastery, nearby the Jetavana monastery. And they walked, and then after that from there, Buddha talked to the monks, and then he moved to this particular place to take a bath. So if you are familiar with the suttas, some of the suttas actually, it's interesting. Some of the suttas say that after taking the bath, Buddha did not actually dry himself. He just used to sit in a little bench next to this bath place and wait until he dry. Because we know there's a different thing. Buddhist literature explains that Buddha's body is a unique body that the water do not retain in the body. It's a kind of hydrophobic skin. The skin do not hold any water droplets. So then when you stay in such a condition, they say that it helps to cool down the body. So it's like maybe an ancient method that they didn't use to wipe their bodies. Just waited in a bench to cool down until they dry. So while he was waiting, he saw a group of people came with the parade where they play drums and trumpets and all different instruments and bring a big elephant into the water. Called Setanagas. It looks like an albino elephant because white elephant. They brought the elephant into the water. And there was an allocated staff to wash the elephant. So they guide the elephant into the water, into the river. In Sri Lanka, still you can see that happen sometimes, not with the drums and trumpets, but people wash elephants. They bring elephants to the rivers. They would lie them down, and then they scrub their backs by using big brushes, coconut brushes. And then they used to do that. They used to clean the elephant. And after that, they again played the drums and trumpets and bring the elephant out of the water. And then Venerable Ananda asked Lord Buddha, who is that? Why they venerate that elephant so much? And Buddha said, that's the Setanaga. That's the elephant of King Pasenadi. So King Pasenadi is like a very powerful king. And this is his favorite elephant. He used to ride this elephant more often. So in other suttas we have seen that sometimes he liked to show off by riding on this elephant. Because he's a white elephant, he used to wear white colored dresses and used to decorate the elephant with white color, different decorations, and then used to accompany that elephant with a lot of white color chariots and used to show off. Like as an example, these days if you have maybe expensive car, you like to show off with the car, you just drive around just to get a feeling like that. They used to do that, these kind of things. So those days it was animals. People had beautiful white color horses, beautiful elephants. They used to decorate them. They used to decorate their chariots, and then they used to show them. They used to go around the city. So Buddha said that, now Ananda, you can see the way they respect the elephant. They use the word naga, Setanaga. Naga could be a magisterial or majestic animal. Like this majestic elephant. Svetanaga could be the majestic elephant. So Buddha said that, see, because of the, because of the, maybe the ancient karma that he have done, or maybe because he's belonged to the king, this is king's elephant. So people respect even the elephant, give him really good treatments. When the elephant goes somewhere, they send a personal band. Elephant had a band for himself, where the drummers and other the people, they used to sing and play instruments and bring the elephant here. And you can see how much that they care about them. It's kind of a majestic treatments that he is receiving. So this is majestic according to the ordinary society. So there are specific animals that they venerated and treated like that. They call them nagas, which mean magisterial animals, majestic animals. So there were horses, there were oxen, there were specific trees, some humans, elephants. This sort of things were there that people respected and give the value. So he actually, in the sutta, he explained about different sort of animals that people used to pay respect to. They call Asanaga, Seta, Hattinaga, Vrukshanaga, like that, which means some trees were venerated, and then they believed, even in Sri Lanka, we respect the Bodhi tree, where Lord Buddha received enlightenment. Still, we consider Bodhi tree as one of our national treasures, and we respect so much. So, and in different traditions, different cultures, in India still, they respected different trees, and still some countries they respect different animals. They venerate them. They consider them as like majestic animals, not like every single animal in that particular category, but specific animals. So Buddha said that you can see even animals are receiving this majestic treatments, and they consider as majestic. So then he said that there are animals, there are oxen, elephants, trees, and horses who receive this treatment. Not only that, also some humans, like kings mainly, some royal family members, some ministers, some religious leaders. They used to receive this immense respect from the society. And sometimes it's based on fear, sometimes it's based on respect, sometimes it's based on maybe different, maybe because of their psychic abilities. So then Buddha said that this is the respect that you receive from the ordinary society by developing your qualities, or just because you're born into a specific realm or specific way. But in Buddhist practice or Buddhist teaching system, there are more magisterial people. There are more majestic treatments out there. How to be such a great person in Buddhist practice? Not by earning money, not by earning fame, not by earning beauty, but by developing qualities. So he said that there are people that we respect. Now Buddha is explaining, after looking at this animal, the elephant, he's explaining this to Venerable Ananda. Just like this, they are also in the human realm. Among the practitioners, there are some practitioners that are specifically venerated. Not because your appearance, not because that the way that you show to others how you practice. Sometimes we also do that in our Buddhist community. We try to show off our practice to other people. This is how we do. We meditate. We are serious meditators. So then we sometimes expect others to respect us and recognize us. So that doesn't work like that. There is a wonderful story about this in Sutta, in the Mahagovinda Sutta, I think. When people passed away, and practitioners, especially meditation, people who practice meditation and practice precepts, when they pass away, when they're reborn in the deities realm, they say that specifically other deities can recognize these deities with a specific glow. Their aura is more powerful. They say white and powerful aura. The other deities can recognize, oh, this particular person was a practitioner before, has practiced meditation before in his previous life, and then reborn in a deity's realm. So they they respect these new deities more because of the way that they glow with their aura. They recognize with the aura, these particular deities are not ordinary deities. They're not deities that just did like some ordinary wholesome deeds and reborn. No, they were practitioners. They developed their mind, they practice meditation, they develop their mind up to a higher level, they develop quality, so they recognize them. So in the same way, in our community, the person who can give value to oneself is actually yourself. You know what is your practice. So you know the level of your practice. If you can be happy about your practice, then you are a majestic person, because we can show to the world, we can hide all the mistakes. We can show to the world how you practice. We can even show off our knowledge, because knowledge is actually not directly related with the practice, because you need the knowledge to practice, but doesn't mean that all the knowledgeable people are practitioners. You can learn easily. Practice is different. Developing quality is a totally different method. So when Buddha has given this value to the self, he mentioned that the person who practice deserve the biggest treatment. They are the most majestic individuals in my sasana, in my dispensation. So he mentioned that a person who developed their mind. So from here onwards, the discussion is too wide. Like, who are the people who receive? Who are the people? Who are the individual who are worthy of receiving that respect? Who are worthy of considering as majestic individuals? So there, the discussion is too long. I'm going to take only few examples, not every single example. I will definitely miss a lot of them, because we don't have enough time to talk about all different conditions and practices and values that we can develop. So simply, I will take another sutta for an example. There are a few suttas in the same, that is in Anguttara Nikaya 6, Dhamma they mentioned that some Brahmins, they used to come to Lord Buddha and ask about the qualities of the Dhamma. So one of the Brahmins came to Lord Buddha, there are qualities of Dhamma. He just chanted them, Swakhato and Sandittiko, Akaliko, Ehipassiko, like that. So there are specific qualities that we need, like definitions. The Brahmins, some of those scholars, they knew why Buddha used the word Swakhat. There was a word called Swakhata in the stanza. Every morning we chant this, Swakhato Bhagavata Dhammo. Akhata mean preached. Swakhata mean very well preached. Like in Pali, there's a stanza, we try to explain this by using Ajhe Kalyana, Majhe Kalyana, Pariyosana Kalyana, Satang Savyanjanam Kevala Paripurna, which means it's pure in the beginning, pure in the middle, pure at the end. Like very well preached. So if you listen to a specific teaching system, a specific theory, a specific ideology, or sutta, that it's very well preached from the beginning to the end. It is clear. You can ask questions and clarify things. If there's no answer, we just honestly say there's no answer to this question, because there are some questions that we don't answer in Buddhist teaching system. So if there is that, we say that we never said you can't question. You can question anything. It's just that sometimes we may not be able to answer some of the questions because it's not relevant to the path, to the practice. That's the only reason. Otherwise, asking questions is actually kind of a respect. Sometimes we always say this in my youth group with the kids, because they don't ask questions that much. So I always say that if you ask a question, which means you're learning, which means you're interested in that, which means you're showing the respect to the teaching system. That's actually good and wonderful way to learn, by asking questions. So Swakhata means very well preached. So they knew about it. They knew that Buddha's teaching system was really systematic and very well preached. There's nothing to argue about. So they didn't question about that. They didn't argue about that point. But they had a very reasonable doubt, which is the same doubt that most of the practitioners have these days. Like especially our youth, the young generation, they ask like, how do you prove this practice can help you? How do you prove this practice can bring you to Nibbana or to reach to an enlightenment? So this is actually a very difficult question to answer, because as an example, imagine a community, a society where they have never experienced exercises. How do you talk to them about fitness? Impossible. If you don't have an idea about exercises, physical movement and physical strength, it's very difficult for you to talk to them about fitness. They won't believe fitness because in that society, they don't recognize exercises, physical activities, development of the structure of the muscles and all, how they help. We don't really understand that. So then in a society where they don't understand these kind of things, it's impossible for you to talk about exercise. So then you would ask them, okay, so if you really want to know about it, let's go for a walk. And let's walk maybe 5-6 kilometers, then you will see. First day, what they will experience is only pain. They won't experience anything. They won't see the muscle growth or reducing any weight, nothing. But you will experience pain in your legs. Just from that experience, you say, oh, no, exercise is a painful thing. There's no benefit of exercise. That's a myth. No? That's totally a delusion because you're not recognizing the true value of the specific technique. Because first thing, we don't have enough evidence and experience in that particular path. But if you trust the instructor and keep on practicing the exercise, maybe for another week, 2, 3, maybe month. After a month or two, then you will see now, yes, there is a physical advantage in my body. Yes, the weight is going down. Yes, my muscles become more and more strong. Now I can walk longer. I don't feel pain anymore. It'll take some time for you to experience that. At least you can do that, even if you don't have any knowledge about exercise, even if you don't have any idea about fitness. You can force someone to walk and you can make them feel the strength. But in meditation subject, you can never do that. It's impossible for someone to forcefully put in the meditation. You can put them forcefully in a meditation room, but you can't make them meditate. We have to understand and control. And so the same question is there. So this particular Brahmin came to Buddha and asked, you say your Dhamma is swakhata. We can agree with that because you have no doubt your knowledge is good. You preach really well. But you say you can receive the results by practicing it. Sandittika. And so you have to develop this particular pathway by applying to yourself, openaika. So how do you explain that? And he asks from Buddha, can you explain that to me? I don't understand. And Buddha says, yes, I can. For both of these questions, I have only one simple and straight answer. That is, because I said that you have to experience the Dhamma right now, here, in this particular life, because when you do something, you experience something. It's very simple. As an example, if you practice meditation with a specific goal, if you are a person who suffers with the anger, if you practice loving kindness for a while, you will definitely see some level of anger is going down. If you experience, imagine you're a very attached person, attachment is your biggest weakness, then if you practice specific meditation techniques such as asubha meditation or maybe elements, you will see that your attachment is not disturbing you that much anymore. You won't experience that within a day, maybe within a week or something, you will experience mildly that, yes, there's something different in my body now. It's not like before. Now my mind is a bit settled and I'm not that attached to the things like before. And if you have maybe delusion, then if you're a delusional character, then we can practice the recollection of death or impermanence. These kind of meditations can give you more awareness to the life, to understand the reality, even the element meditation. So different meditation techniques, combinations are there. Then you can recognize, yes, there is a value. There is a benefit of this particular practice. I guess almost all of you in the audience have experienced that. That's why you're here. That's why you're listening to these talks, and that's why you're meditating. So Buddha said to this particular Brahmin, yes, of course. If you can see that you have attachment within you, just by closing your eyes and recognizing within, recognizing yourself. If you can recognize your anger, if you can recognize your delusion, if you know when the delusion is there, if you know when the delusion is not there, if you know when the anger is there, if you know when the anger is not there, if you know when the attachment is there, if you know when the attachment is not there, then that is a very good example to this very practice. Because the practice itself directly focusing on to recognize the internal qualities, especially weaknesses actually. We try to eradicate the weaknesses and we try to develop the qualities. So then, and Buddha said that if someone is doing that, so what is the benefit of that? That's the most interesting part about the self-confidence. So then, okay, now we had to agree, okay, so if you practice these kind of techniques, yes, your anger may go down, your attachment may go down, all right. So what is in it for you? Happiness. You become happy. It's not like the ordinary happiness that we recognize, but you feel this relaxed, happy, serene feeling within yourself because now you're not disrupted by other difficult mental factors. So this particular peace that you experience is a benefit. It's a wonderful thing that you experience. Even if someone experiences that and be happy according to that particular factors, even in an ordinary way, that's fine. Sometimes people experience this in a very ordinary level, little bit of happiness and there's just a little bit of relaxation, that's fine. For a beginner, that's extremely beneficial. And if you can focus on that, and then if you can develop that more and more, then you will experience more happiness. Then you will experience more serenity in your mind. So this is a very good example for us to explain that Buddha have even focused on individual development and about a small, simple happiness that you experience by developing meditation. So that can help you to develop your confidence. Yes, if I can do that, if I experience this simple happiness by practicing meditation, I can gradually develop that. That's a very powerful message actually. So I think almost all of us experience that. If you are disturbed, like if you have a wandering mind, if your mind is not focused, if you just close your mind and close your eyes and focus on your breath for a minute, 2, 5 maybe, you will experience some sort of serenity in your mind. You'll experience some sort of happiness in your mind. That's the ordinary level that we talk about. So that is enough for us to develop our self-confidence, to develop the pathway. So that is again a different approach to the concept of self in Buddhism. And there's another thing about usually we use the word the control, but I would use the word manage. Managing the senses. How to manage the senses? There is an interesting concept called Indriya Sangvara. Indriya Sangvara is also actually considered as a precept. It comes under precept. But this idea of Indriya Sangvara, idea of like managing your senses is not really considered as like controlling or forcing yourself not to enjoy your life. Sometimes people misunderstand this idea, but this is about how we recognize the self. So number one, we recognize the world. Now, first thing actually we're talking about qualities. So don't misunderstand this, mess up the concept. So first we talk about self, and we talk about the explanation of the self, and then we talk about the value to the self. So Buddha said that person who develop the qualities have the value. So what are the qualities? So number one is a person who recognized their anger, attachment and delusion. Person who recognized when the anger, attachment and delusion is not there. You've recognized the happiness. That's the first thing. Second one is more deeper and at the same time a more sophisticated way to manage your senses. So number one, to recognize how you recognize the world, to understand how you recognize the world. So whenever you think about something, your idea about yourself and the things around you based on your senses. Because each and everything that you think or touch or see or taste, that's your world. If there is something that you have never seen, if there's something that you have never heard, if there's something that you have never touched, smelled, tasted, that particular thing do not exist in your world. Like as an example, if you never heard about, imagine that we live in a small island, we have never heard about any other countries, we have, maybe there's no flight path nearby, so we have never seen aircraft, nothing. So imagine if we are like, in the middle of nowhere, if there's such a community that never to be discovered by humans yet, for them, the border of the island, the ocean, maybe the horizon is the end of their world. They don't know anything beyond that. That'll be their world because they have never seen it. So if there is something, when I use the word if there is something, already you start thinking about something. So then already that particular thing start existing in your world because you have heard that already. So if there is something that you have never heard, never seen, never watched, never tasted, never touched, and this particular thing do not exist in your world. So every existence is actually based on your experience. So what you experience as world is not actually the world itself, it is your own senses. And even if we manage to change the perspectives of these senses, as an example, if there's a way, there are ways that you can change the senses. Like you can change your eye to different sort of eye, where they recognize straight line as curved lines. Imagine that particular person will never recognize straight. Even if you walk in a straight path, he would recognize like I'm walking in a curve. So he would recognize like two different curves. There's one curve, then when you walk in that particular curve, you feel the curve. The other curve, when you walk in that particular curve, you don't feel that you're walking like in a curve. So that's all. Otherwise, you'll recognize both are curves. So then, like it's about recognition. So because of that, Buddha said, if someone is managed, if someone can develop their sense up to a level to manage these senses perfectly, that person can see the world in a different angle. That person can see the world, actually can see the reality in that case actually, because you don't have to work so hard in that, because you just have to contemplate on your senses. The things that I see, am I seeing the reality? Am I seeing the truth? Or am I seeing something beyond? Like as an example, when you see the Buddha statue right now, you can see the 3D Buddha statue because you can see you can see up to the third dimension. You can see the depth. You can see that because your eye can recognize the color differences. I can recognize different colors in a different way. So actually, all you can see is colors. Only thing, because of the way that it has organized, you can see this as a tree. That's why sometimes you can draw 3D things in a 2D page. If you draw a 3D something in this particular wall with the different colors, with the different color range, that our eye will recognize this particular wall. Maybe you can make like, there are some videos you have seen. You can make a staircase in this wall. It looks like a real staircase. When you see that, you will recognize, oh, that's a staircase. It's a 3D thing. But when you go near and touch, you can see, it's just a 2D painting. Because the color change, this color difference, we recognize. So we give the value to different shapes, different colors, different depths. So we recognize the color with the perspective of different shapes. So in the same way, sounds, I think we had talked about this before as well, when you talk about recognition, long time ago, in the last year or before that year, I said that if someone blame you, if someone call you a donkey, we get angry not because that the other person is shouting at us or blaming us, because we have a perspective in our mind already. Donkey is a bad animal. Donkeys, poor animal. Donkeys are not really bad. They are innocent animals. We just created a concept in our mind. If someone call you donkey, that's an insult. There's no such thing, because he's more innocent animal than any other carnivorous, because they don't kill any other animals. They just live, eat their grass, and help us with carrying goods. Innocent animals. They were actually they deserve better. So, but if someone call you donkey, you recognize, okay, this is a form of insult. This person is trying to tell that I'm a stupid. So that's why you get angry. That's a conceptual error. It's not the error of the donkey. It's not the error of the person who shouted at you. It's the error of you, the way you recognize the blame. And it's even further, it's a bunch of sound. It's a language. If I call you donkey in a different language, maybe for non-Sri Lankan, so if I call you that in Sinhala, you won't understand. So if I use different language that you have never heard about, you won't understand that. Then you understand that you get angry because that you recognize, okay, someone has spoken this particular set of words, sounds, few syllables. You translate that syllable into a language that you have learned, and then you think and you know this particular set of combination is wrong. This particular set of combination is bad. This particular set of combination is insulting. And then you get angry. So then when you pay attention to the senses concepts, it's very easy to deal with the world, because then you recognize what you can see is not the exact reality. This is a reality that's designed by ourselves, by using the language. So all the words we can hear, all the sounds we can hear, these are interpretations of ourselves. All the pictures that we see are interpretation of the color. So we are the one who interpret that. So that goes to all the things: taste, smell, touch, everything. And then based on these 5, we create thoughts. So every single thought is based on that. So all the thoughts that a human have ever created in your mind, they are not new actually. They are a new version of the previous thoughts, new version of the previous experiences. That's why, like as an example, if I ask you to draw a shape right now that you have never seen, you can draw a shape. But within that shape, we can recognize the combination of previous shapes that you have known. Triangles, circles, squares. So then that particular shape you wear would be definitely a combination of these things. So when you draw a pattern like that, we could easily use maybe 100 different shapes that you know to resemble the same shape that you have designed. So that goes through almost all the subjects actually. That's interesting in a way. And imagine if I ask you to describe a color right now that you have never seen. You would use the colors that you have seen and give an approximate idea to this particular color. So like as an example, that often happens with our robes. People say this is red, and some say no, this is maroon, some say this is wine red, some say this is rosewood. 1,000 different colors. So I didn't even know some of those names until I came to Australia. And I didn't even know they call this wine red color. And we call it rosewood in Sri Lanka because maybe wine is alcohol. You don't want to mix up with the robe color. So they call it wine red here. So that people recognize different colors so they are not like, if you have seen, even if you see a new color that you have never seen, you won't recognize that as a new color. You will give a new name to that particular color based on the colors that you already know. That's why if you have never seen orange, you would say, I have seen a color something in between yellow and red. So the first time if you see orange, you would say, oh, there's a color, it's not yellow, it's not red, it's like something in between. Now we have different color registrations in our brain, so we would use those things to the approximate idea to explain it. So if you consider this to all the different scenarios and possibilities and perspectives with the way that we recognize, this would be the reality of the world. So then it's rather than controlling your anger, rather than controlling your attachment, rather than controlling your delusion, you recognize there's nothing to be angry. There's nothing to attach. There's nothing to be deluded. The ultimate reality is this a combination of different colors, combination of different sounds, combination of different senses. So the whole ideology about the managing senses is to recognize how these senses translate things into the thoughts. So we translate each and everything that you see in the outer world into thoughts. And then we process these thoughts. So actually we also have a solution for that. That's the interesting part, no? Rather than explaining about deep concepts and some unthinkable ideologies, we need to understand, so what to do about it then? So Buddha said, yes, if someone wants to develop yourself, if someone wants to manage yourself better, just manage your senses. Very simple example is the Indriya Samvara Sila. The precepts or the the system that we used to develop to recognize the different senses and their values. So number one, when you see something, Chakuna Rupan Dissa Namitta Gaharita, when you see something, you should not be judgmental about it. First thing, when you see something, you recognize this as a picture. That's it. A person. That's it. You do not go further. You do not go to analyze that. More you analyze, you will create more unwholesome thoughts in your mind. If you analyze in a good way, like based on impermanence, suffering and unselfness, like different, maybe by using different elements, then there will be wholesome deeds as well. But instead of analyzing in the wrong way, instead of taking, like as an example, if someone shout at you, instead of considering this particular person is angry with me, he said this particular word, you can simply say he just shouted. That's it, like one thing, simple thing. And especially when you in an argument, when someone neglect you, when someone prove your point is wrong, sometimes we get angry. You can just think, no, he just said some words, instead of going to the other steps, because it is unnecessary for us to get angry about it. I know we can't apply that each and every place. Like if you try to apply this in your office meeting, you'll be fired because you won't pay attention to what they say. You can't do that there. You have to pay attention and you have to analyze things. That's a different thing. It's only when your mind is, when you're meditating, when you're practicing the pathway, when you want yourself to be alone and develop yourself, then when you want that disconnected serenity, then you can apply this technique. So other time you can't do that, especially when you're driving. That's a big danger. Those vehicles are real. They are not just colors. Speed is real. They are not just colors. Horns are real. They are not just sounds. So you have to be very careful. Especially the road signs are real. Don't say to the police officers, oh, that's just a color according to Buddhism. Those are just elements. We just don't really consider them. No. These are real. You have to follow the law and be careful. So only when you try to disconnect yourself, when you try to receive that serenity and settle down yourself, then just definitely you have to pay attention to the ultimate conditions. So when you pay attention to the ultimate conditions, we recognize sounds as sounds. We just have heard something. We have just seen something. That's it. We don't go beyond that. And if you taste something, just taste it. That's why we dedicate the specific time for us to practice. Even like usually in our SEAL programs, I always say that the time that we eat food is actually a meditation. It's not the time to gossip. In our meditation center, in our center, we have monthly Dhamma talks. Every month we have a talk. So after the talk, I give them the freedom to meet each other, talk to each other. That's their gossip time. After my Dhamma talk, they talk about. That's okay because that's the time that devotees meet each other maybe once a month. But in the SEAL program day, where we observe SEAL in the morning, like it's like a meditation retreat, a one-day retreat, there I do not allow them to talk. If they talk, I would advise them and would ask them not to do that. I try to minimize all unnecessary talks there. I try to give them a time, even while they are eating. I always say lunchtime is your meditation. While you're taking the food, while you're mixing the food, while you're moving the food towards your mouth, while you're eating, while you're chewing, while you're swallowing, each and every step, it's a meditation. So you're aware about every single step. So that's a good time for you to meditate, actually. So lunchtime is not a break. It's a meditation time. So throughout the day, we try to maintain that. Even after the end of the program, I would ask them to leave without hang around and without talk to each other. Because once a month you get a different chance, because we have 2 programs every month. So other program you can have your time. That's okay. This particular time is dedicated to practice. So you should go home with the serenity. You should experience that for a longer time. So you can dedicate yourself as well and recognize, okay, this is the time for me to watch myself. So watch myself mean manage my senses. So everything that I hear, everything that I see. So this particular technique, you don't have to practice. You don't have to sit and practice that. That's the advantage there. You can just do something. Maybe you can clean your house. Maybe you can do some gardening. While doing something, you can manage your senses, 6 senses. Focus on the senses. While you're meditating, if you have a quiet and serene environment to meditate, there are more things that we can do, like focus on breath or practice a Vipassana meditation or something. Advanced techniques are there. But if you're doing your day-to-day, if you're spending your day-to-day life, this is a wonderful way for you to recognize how disconnected we are, how deleted we are, how do we translate things in a different way. So at least if you do that for a while, maybe for a longer time, you will recognize and you will understand, now my mind is not that much diluted. My mind is much more calmer. Now my mind is recognizing things better. Now my mind is more aware about things. So in that case, you can avoid unnecessary anger, you can avoid unnecessary attachments, unnecessary delusion. So at least up to some level, you can disconnect with the things that you want to disconnect. I'm not saying that you have to disconnect with everything in the world. At least you don't have to disconnect at all. At least you can recognize the reality. You can live with them, but by recognizing the reality. It's exactly like, I always use the example, exactly like how the kids see the world and how we see the world. In the kids' world, there are so many fascinating things exist. In their world, all their fairy tale stories sometimes exist. Those cartoon characters, they exist. Sometimes they talk to imaginary characters, imaginary people in their life. That's fine. That's how they develop their thinking. That's good for their brain health, mental health, actually, kind of. So, but we don't do that as adults. We see the reality of the world. For the kids, we used to play back then. We used to get leaves as money. We used to trade specific leaves. So like you'd carry a bunch of leaves, and then you would like give leaves to. They would have like. Some fake shops, you would buy things from the shops by giving leaves. As kids, that's a value. And in some cases, there are specific things that we used to have, like, back then when we were young, some kids, they have feathers. So they collect feathers. So they are very expensive. So if you want to get a feather, you have to give something like in a similar value. So it's like you're trading in. But these days, we don't trade with feathers. We trade with real money. We know the real world. We know how cruel it is. So it's different from the kids' world. So they don't recognize that seriousness, the reality of the world. But that's okay. They live in that world. But now we know the real world that we experience is different. For the kids, the bills do not exist in the kids' world. Like if you're like under 5 years old, they don't know about bills. They don't know about income. They don't know about economy. They don't know about savings. No, only they know about if you have money, you can buy the sweet things that they want. That's okay, because for them, they can enjoy that life. That's how they develop slowly. They're innocent. But for us, we are different. We know the exact reality. We know the value of the money. We know the value of savings. We know the value of social values, and we know the value of ethics. We know the value of kindness. We know all these different values now. So our world is more complicated. We are paying attention to the real world. Again, that real world that we experience is also kind of diluted and created world, the kind of a reality that we have created. So if you really want to see the real reality, that's beyond the senses. We call them extrasensory experiences. The people who develop their mind up to a higher level, they can recognize the real nature of the world. So that's why they don't get angry. That's why they don't get attached to things. It's not like some people think that Buddhism try to eradicate and push the anger away, push the attachment away, and restrain yourself. It's not. We try to open ourselves up to a level that you don't find a reason to get angry. that you don't find a reason to be attached to things, that you don't find a reason to be deluded, because you see the reality. So that's the idea of self in Buddhism. This is a really simple explanation about the self. I just referred to different suttas here. I wanted to explain this because we are discussing about some simple talks, simple topics before, and was referring to specific suttas. That's why I wanted to bring your attention to some detailed, deeper analysis. So I hope the discussion is not too deep for you. So we'd like to share all these meritorious deeds for all of you to be happy, healthy, and peaceful and content, and to reach the ultimate bliss of Nibbana by the power of these meritorious deeds. Sadhu, sadhu. I think we have time until 10:30, right? 10:30 is the time. So I'd like to dedicate some of the meritorious deeds to everyone. I will do the sharing minutes after the Q&A, I think, right? Yeah. All right.
Thank you, Bhante, for the insightful talk. Now we open the questions. We alternate between in-person and online. So open the question to the floor. If you have a question, feel free to raise your hand.
Mandatory technical problems. Okay, questions from the floor? No? Okay, what do we have online, Sean?
We'll start with the question for online. So about the Dhamma is suvacha, which is well-spoken or superior taught by the Buddha.
The swakata, right? Should be swakata, okay.
By the Buddha. I heard that one should interpret fewer sutra in the context of what most of the sutras say in order to understand them rightly. But if I don't be able to do my own interpretations, because I think the Dhamma is a suvata, and so I find myself doubting my own interpretation of Dhamma. Thank you.
I think you can check the spelling. Is this suvacha or swakata? Suvacha is actually different. Suvacha means a different... Swakato, right? K should be okay, because suvacha mean like you're humble. It's a different quality. Like in Karnimata Sutta, suvacho sakoju, suvacho chasamudantima, like humble and like very down to earth, something like that. And here, yes, actually, if you like try to interpret everything by yourself, that's definitely not going to work, because there are specific Dhamma concepts that, as an example, I'm not saying that everyone has to learn Pali to learn the suttas, at least need to like follow someone who can interpret that for you at least. So self-interpretation is a bit dangerous, because it can lead to self-ideology, because then you can interpret anything based on you. So there are definitely the language-based interpretation is important when you translate ancient teaching to the today's world. But the most difficult part there is that you're not only translating the language, you're translating the culture as well, you're translating the ideology as well, because we're talking about a teaching system from 2,500 years before. And the intellectual language was philosophy back then, and then they were talking about these philosophical arguments. This particular society was like totally like in a proper awareness about these concepts. In such a world that Buddha explained these things. And today, mainly our intellectual language is not philosophy, mostly maths and science. We are based on reason, logics and all. So it's a different sort of thinking system, intellectual language. So when you translate to today's world, it's not the same like the translation that we just like raw translation. So interpretation could be dangerous if you do not recognize the correct way of interpretation. So it's better maybe can discuss with some friends about this idea. Maybe you can find a teacher, or if someone wants to learn Pali, you can learn Pali and read things. Yeah. So if you really want to learn these things perfectly, by yourself, best way is to learn Pali and interpret things based on the ancient text. If not, better go for a discussion and clarify things. Like, you don't have to like learn all these things systematically using Pali, because the concepts are there. So then if the teachings are really matching with the basic concepts, then you can use that to interpret as well. So you don't have to worry about that too much. But self-interpretation could be actually eradicating, at the same time diverting the meaning of the Swakkata itself. Swakkata means that Buddha have explained really well. So when we interpret that, we have to be very careful. At the same time, need to find out the correct interpretation.
Thank you, Bhante. Question from James.
Morning, Bhante. This is more of a request for a bit more explanation than a question. So you said that the information from the senses come in, we get angry, but if we could see the non-self situation, then we wouldn't get angry.
Correct.
How do you get to that, seeing that non-self situation? Like, I'm back at being angry.
Actually, simple. There's a simple way we can contemplate as this is just a system. Like that when we think that the person insulted me, that's the reason that we get angry. If we just see, oh, it's just a system, or there's a sound, there's a receiver, the sound has been transmitted by someone's mouth, sound has been received by someone's ear, and then it's just a system. Like this actually, if you look into this particular way, if you deeply analyze, this is actually a bunch of elements work in a different system. Like if I break down that by using elements, that'll be easy for you to understand. Like when I talk, imagine I'm not using this microphone, I'm straight away talking to someone there. It is the air element in my chest is working together with the earth element in the throat, my vocal cords. That's how they produce the sounds. Air and the vocal cords. Vocal cords considered as the hardness. So hardness is earth element. So if you break down into element theory, so elements in my throat, that is the earth element. Elements that I pump out by using my lungs is the air element, creates this particular sound. And then my tongue and my lips and my teeth and all these things give a little, maybe add on to this, fine-tune the sound, and I release that to them. And then by using the air vibrations, so it's like air element to air element vibration, like we can say clash, or they combine together, and then that we need a media to transfer the sound. If there's a vacuum in between us, then you can't hear anything I say. So then we can hear each other because there's a media. So whatever I say, that's the vibration of the air element, and it'll be received by our ears. And that actually, again, the combination of air element and the earth element in the ear, and then that particular vibration or combination is translated to a neurosignal and then sent to our brain, and we understand it. So this is, again, we can, the entire process is actually elements. So then these elements, that sound element, or the element that we created by the combination of different earth, water, fire, and heat element, if it is changed into a different level, we won't hear the same thing. Imagine if air is denser than usual, you won't even hear things that I say. Maybe you might hear some funny voice from myself. You won't hear a real voice of me. So if it is if in your air canal, instead of air, if there's water, then you won't hear that. Like if you're underwater, I'm above the water. If I'm talking to you, you won't hear that. So the end, everything is there because this element process is working. So if you contemplate, these are all process working, these are all elements working. It's not like an immediate result that we won't get angry, but gradually we will be managed to maintain our mind up to a level to let go of things easily, because like I don't have to fight with this. This is just a sound, just an element, like that. It's very easy to explain, very hard to practice. It takes time.
All right, so essentially what you're saying is don't take things personally.
Correct. Very easy.
Just I was coming here today and the traffic delayed me, and I was thinking I'm going to be late. I don't want to be late. So that,
yeah,
you know how it goes. but it's just comes back to, okay, that's how it is, don't take it personally.
Correct.
They're just elements in operation. All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, in relation to that questions, I'm thinking the Buddha also taught us to develop upekkha. So how do we relate that question to?
This is the kind of end result, because like if you consider things like as elements, the process, then automatically you won't get too attached to things, you won't be angry about things, you won't be deluded. Then your mind will be definitely in a calm state. That is the upekkha, like your mind is middle mind, because you're not extremely attached to something, extremely detached to something, you're in the middle. So you're like, you understand things. So mostly I explain this in this way. Like when a kid do something to us, we don't take that person. Like if your 5-year-old come to you and like say something to you, like if they say get out, you won't shout back to that kid. Like they're not they're not serious. If they hit you, you don't hit them back. So you just like take it easy. And if the same thing happened with 35-year-old, you might retaliate. If they punch you, you might punch back. If they shout you might shout back. Why is that? Because we understand this kid do not understand, like this innocent kid. He don't know. He didn't mean that. Even though the kid has mean something, says something mean to us, we don't react in the same manner. It's a social norm that we understand. So why we can't understand when adults do the same thing? It's the same. It's ignorance. It's the same. It's anger-based mental factors. So you have the equanimity when you have the understanding. When you understand the kids don't have control over their emotions, then you practice equanimity. You're all right with that. You don't be overly attached to things. You'll be overly angry. You're fine. You just maintain your distance. When the same thing happened with someone in the same age, maybe someone older, same with you would get angry. So actually, yeah. So that's a very good example for us to understand, like why we take things personally, why we take like actions. Because we can't go to a middle ground and we can't contemplate.
Yeah, thank you, Bhante. Question for online. If all experience in the present moment is empty of meaning, is it that we have to take responsibility to our own reaction to experience? Of course, reaction to experience is always in the past tense.
Yes.
To experience. Therefore, we use present moment to reflect upon experience that already been moved into the past.
Correct. That's correct. But at the same time, we have to be responsible for that. Like equanimity or like the theory of emptiness do not mean that there's nothing. Like we can't say things are empty because of that. I'm not responsible. No. If you say I'm not responsible, already you have agreed you are there. So if you are there, you agreed that I'm. Just by saying I'm not responsible, you have already like stated that I want to be free from that, which means you have accepted yourself already. So the existence of self is already there. So that's why I say that the karma concept is actually within the process as well. Like that works in a different way. That is like when your mind is working in such an order, when you keep on accumulating all these different mental factors, that's where we accumulate the karma with the intention. But if you don't do that, if you do not accumulate the karma with the intention, then you won't exist anymore. That's why the Arahantas do not reborn, because they don't accumulate any good or bad karma, both. That's why when you reach the enlightenment level, you don't accumulate anything after that. As for an Arahanta, if someone asks whether Arahantas exist, for that particular question also, our answer is not direct. We say they exist like the sky. You can point out the sky, but you can never touch. It's an argument whether the sky is there or not, because you can see it because of that ordinary eye recognizes the sky, but when you climb up, you can't see that. It's not there. Just a bunch of air. So then, in the same manner, once you reach the Arahanta level, enlightenment, then definitely you do not create any good or bad karma then after that, because you are free from it, you understood it. Until that, your mind keep on accumulating good and bad meritorious deeds, good and bad karma, because we exist based on this ideology of recognition. So we recognize things. We have different perspectives. So we are actually prisoners of our own creations and perspectives. So until you are in that particular prison, you are responsible for everything. After that, you're not responsible, because after that, you're no longer there.
Thank you, Bhante.
Too deep.
Well, for more reflection over quite some time. Thank you very much, Venerable. Thanks. As always, an interesting talk. So, announcements times, if I can, please. Just take a few moments of your time. So, the two, quite a few announcements, but the most important one. So, the Katina robe offering ceremony will be up at the Newbury Buddhist Monastery on the 26th of October, 25. So always an important day and always a good day during the year. So there will be a return bus service for those who prefer to take that option. But please have a look in the newsletter for a few more details. And then what happens with Katina, of course, we then end the Vasa period, and so that means that we are back in the position where we can start offering retreats up at Newbury, and so we have an upcoming retreat. I'll find the right place. Yes, 31st of October, the 4th of November, with Ajahn Sunyo. Ajahn Sunyo, perhaps not well known to people, but from Bodhinyama, originally from the Netherlands, been ordained in 2013, but mostly in the last number of 6 years he's been working with Ajahn Brahmali and offering teachings in regard to the kind of early Buddhism series and sort of exposition of the Pali Suttas. So that's our first retreat on the other side of the Vasa period, and the bookings for that are now open. Then in regard to the regular teachings, this Monday night meditation, Ajahn Sadaro will be leading. On Tuesday night it's the usual layperson-led meditation. And then next Saturday, October the 4th, our monthly meditation day. This time it will be led by Ajahn Nisarano, and the title for this one is Being at Home with Yourself, Finding Your Inner Refuge. Commences at 8:30 to 4:30. Please bring your own lunch. The Sunday Dhamma talk next week will be Ajahn Nisarano, who will also be taking the Monday night meditation. And that's almost it. Just two other things, I guess. Kalyana Metta Cleaning Day. So if those people who are interested, they can stay around after Dana. Then we'll do it for an hour or so, just cleaning up around the centre. And then City Zen are hosting community food drive. So that will be next Sunday, the 5th of October. And they're requesting people bring along donations of non-perishable items such as cans of soup, jam or peanut butter, pasta and so on. And the collected items will be donated to a local charity. So, and then that's all now, other than to invite people to come and share Pindapata and Dharma lunch with us. And today, Venerable Pasadika will actually be able to stay, which is very nice. He's often running away, so it'll be a very great pleasure to have him sharing a meal with us today. Thank you. So, Bhante, I just leave it to you to formally close the morning session. Thank you.
So we'll share the meritorious deeds today. So we have accumulated a lot of meritorious deeds today by discussing about valuable Dhamma points. And I'd like to share this, I will take the opportunity to share the merits to our beloved monks who passed away I think you have heard about the tragic accident happened in Na Uyana and in our forest monastery where I'm from. All the monks in Dhamsuwa Monastery and also Venerable Hari, who lives in Newbury, and some monks in Ripplebrook, all are from Na Uyana. Even the Venerable Thero started his journey in Na Uyana, started ordained in Na Uyana Monastery. So where the 7 monks passed away in a tragic accident there. So I'd like to share this message to all those monks who passed away. Last night was their funeral ceremony, and then 2 other monks are in the ICU and 4 other monks are in the hospital. So I'd like to share this message to all those brother monks who passed away, and all the monks in the hospital. May they get well soon. May the other monks in the hospital as well, all of them, may they get well soon. And the monks who passed away, may they share this wonderful meritorious deeds. May they be able to reach the monkhood again in their next lives and reach the ultimate bliss of Nibbana by the power of these wonderful meritorious deeds. And I would like to share this message to all the monks, deities, and all the devotees who gathered here today, and all the past relatives and all the living relatives. May all of us share these wonderful meritorious deeds. May all of them be happy, healthy, peaceful, and content, and reach the ultimate bliss of Nibbana by the power of these wonderful meritorious deeds. Sadhu, sadhu. Ittavata chamhehi sambatang punya sampadang sabbe devanumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Ittavata chamhehi sambatang punya sampadang sabbe bhutanumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Ittavata chamhehi sambatang punya sampadang sabbe sattanumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Idamme ñātinang hotu sukita hontu ñātayo. Idamme ñātinang hotu sukita hontu ñātayo. Idhamme ñātinang hotu sukita hontu ñātayo. Idhamme puññang asavakkhyāvahang hotu sabba dukkha pamujjatu. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Okay, that's the end of the session then. Sabat.